Seekers of the dark, welcome to Pretty Little Deaths. I'm your guide, where the night reveals the darkest secrets of true crime, history's buried horrors. Tonight we unravel the Ripper's savage rampage, a bloody terror that stained London's fog with unspeakable acts. If this world pulls you in, let's dive deeper. Stay with us. Give a like to light our path through the shadows. Subscribe to bring these haunting stories alive. Tell me in the comments, where are you from? What time is it? And what's your darkest fantasy you've never told anyone? Confess below. Share with a fellow seeker. Take a breath and let's step into the abyss. The clock is ticking. Let's begin. Autumn 1888. Whitechapel, London, is a festering wound carved into the Victorian soul, a place where despair clings to every damp brick and shadowed alley. The air is thick with the rancid breath of rot, unwashed bodies, spilled gin, and the faint decay of forgotten dreams. While gas lamps sputter weakly, their golden flicker swallowed by a fog so dense it feels alive, pulsing with the heartbeat of the lost. These narrow streets twist like the coils of a venomous snake, their walls glistening with moisture, hiding the shuffling feet of men broken by unemployment and women driven to sell their souls for a crust of bread or a night's shelter in a lice-ridden doss house. Hope is a phantom here, a ghost long chased away by the relentless grip of poverty, leaving behind a population teetering on the edge of survival. Among them walks Mary Ann Nichols, known to her fading circle as Polly, a woman of 43 whose life has been whittled down by time's cruel knife. Once she was a wife, her home filled with the laughter of children, but years of hardship, alcohol, abandonment, and the streets have stripped her to a shadow, her days dissolving in the haze of gin, her nights a barter for a fleeting bed. On the night of August 31st, Polly stumbles into Bucks Row, a desolate stretch where the fog wraps around her like a shroud, muffling the soft crunch of her worn boots on the cobblestones. She seeks a client, a final transaction to secure her keep, unaware that a shadow moves with her, a presence darker than the night itself, its intent masked by the mist. At 3:40 a.m., a carter's cart rumbles to a halt, his lantern casting a trembling light on a sight that freezes his soul. Polly lies sprawled, her throat a gaping wound, her abdomen torn open with a precision that suggests not just violence, but a chilling artistry, a surgeon's cruel hand at work. No scream had pierced the fog. No struggle marred the silence, only the steady drip of her lifeblood pooling on the stones, a crimson stain against the grey that speaks of a horror too vast to comprehend. The police arrive, their lanterns slicing through the mist like desperate blades, but the scene offers no answers. No footprints to trace, no weapon to seize, just the lifeless form of a woman abandoned to the elements, her eyes staring into a void. Whispers ripple through the dawn, tales of a leather apron, a phantom said to stalk the district's women with a blade in hand, and the press seizes the story with a voracious hunger, their headlines screaming, "Savage murder in Bucks Row," across the city, igniting a spark of terror that spreads like wildfire. Was this a solitary act of madness, a momentary lapse into brutality, or the opening chapter of a darker saga yet to unfold? The fog clings tight to its secrets, a veil over the truth, but the Ripper's rage has ignited, and the streets of Whitechapel tremble with the promise of more to come. The fog of Whitechapel thickens with the echo of Polly Nichols' brutal end, her blood a grim stain that seeps into the cobblestones, a silent warning of the terror yet to unfold. Over the next 2 months, this shadowy district becomes a stage for a series of murders that etch a deeper scar into its soul, as 4 more women fall to the same unseen blade, their lives snuffed out by a rage that grows with each strike. These are the Canonical 5: Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, each a woman with a story of struggle, resilience, and loss, now forever linked by the Ripper's merciless hand. Annie Chapman, 47, a widow whose spirit has been worn thin by the relentless grind of poverty and alcoholism, steps onto Hanbury Street on September 8th, her once bright eyes dulled by a life of hardship, her laughter replaced by the quiet, desperate churn of survival. The fog wraps around her like a shroud as she seeks a client to earn her keep, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth and the faint promise of dawn. At 5:30 a.m., a neighbour's ear catches a muffled cry, a sound swallowed by the mist before it can reach help. And when the morning reveals her fate, Annie lies in a backyard, her throat severed with a single precise cut, her uterus carved out with a skill that sends a shiver through the toughest souls. The killer's precision hints at a craft, perhaps a butcher's steady hand or a surgeon's cold intent, turning the scene into a grotesque tableau that the police can scarcely process. 3 weeks later, on September 30th, the terror doubles with the double event, a night that splits the fog with a double dose of death. Elizabeth Stride, 44, a Swedish seamstress driven to the streets by fate's cruel turn, is found in Dutfield's yard at 1 o'clock a.m., her throat slashed but her body spared the deeper mutilation. Was the killer startled? His work interrupted by some fleeting presence in the night? Just 45 minutes later, Catherine Eddowes, 46, a woman with a past of petty theft and a present of gritty survival, lies in Mitre Square, her face a mask of grotesque mutilation, her kidney and uterus gone, stolen by a blade that moved with ruthless efficiency. A blood-soaked apron piece, discarded in Goulston Street, becomes a macabre clue, paired with a graffito scrawled on the wall, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing," a cryptic message that hangs in the air like a taunt, a riddle wrapped in the fog's embrace, its meaning as elusive as the killer himself. Then, on November 9th, Mary Jane Kelly, 25, the youngest and perhaps the most vibrant of the 5, meets a fate that eclipses all others in its savagery. In her cramped room at Miller's Court, she is butchered beyond recognition. Her heart vanished, her walls spattered with blood, a scene so visceral it feels like the climax of a nightmare, the Ripper's rage reaching a peak that leaves the air thick with dread. Who were these women to him? A target for his fury, a symbol of his scorn, or a release for some inner torment that festers in the shadows? Their lives, once filled with flickers of hope, or at least the will to endure, are now reduced to echoes in a tale of terror, their deaths a puzzle piece in the fog that refuses to yield, each murder a stroke of rage painted across Whitechapel's grimy canvas. Pause here. What secret do you think that graffito conceals? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's peel back the fog together. The aftermath ripples through Whitechapel, the fog carrying the whispers of these women's final moments, their stories now forever entwined with the killer's shadow. Annie's quiet desperation, Elizabeth's fleeting hope, Catherine's resilient spirit, and Mary Jane's youthful defiance, all snuffed out by a blade that moved with a purpose yet to be grasped. The police, their lanterns casting frantic beams through the mist, find no clear pattern beyond the escalating brutality, no thread to pull that doesn't dissolve into the haze. The public, gripped by a fear that seeps into their bones, begins to see the Ripper not merely as a man, but as a force of nature, a spectre born of the fog itself, his presence a constant threat that lingers in every alley. Each murder builds on the last, the rage intensifying with every cut, every organ taken, as if the killer is crafting a story in blood, a narrative only he can decipher. The graffito, with its odd phrasing and mysterious intent, becomes a focal point, a clue that might lead to salvation, a diversion to mislead, or perhaps a glimpse into the twisted mind behind the blade. The fog, ever present, seems to mock the search, its tendrils curling around the evidence, hiding the truth just out of reach, leaving the city to wonder what drives this unseen fury and what secrets lie buried in the mist. The fog of Whitechapel, now heavy with the weight of 5 brutal murders, seems to pulse with the unseen presence of the Ripper, his blade having silenced Polly Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, leaving the district steeped in a terror that clings to every breath. The streets, once merely shadowed, now hum with a different kind of dread, for the killer's voice emerges from the silence, not through the slash of his knife, but through words that drip with malice, words that flood the police stations and ignite the city's nightmares. Over 300 letters pour in, a torrent of hoaxes and hysteria from a public gripped by fear and fascination. But among this chaos rise 3 missives that cut through the noise like a blade through flesh, each one a haunting glimpse into a mind as dark as the fog itself. The first, the Dear Boss letter, arrives on September 27, 1888. Its envelope smudged with the grime of the streets. Its contents a taunt that births the name Jack the Ripper into infamy. "I'm down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled," it sneers, the handwriting jagged yet deliberate, signed with a mocking flourish that promises more carnage, a vow that sends a chill through the spines of those who dare to read it. This is no idle scribble. The ink feels alive, a pulse of rage that mirrors the mutilations left in his wake, and the police, already stretched thin by the mounting deaths, feel the weight of a predator toying with his prey, his words a weapon as sharp as his blade. Days later, on October 1st, the Saucy Jackie postcard arrives, its tone gleeful yet chilling, boasting of the double event with a casual cruelty. Double event this time, number 1 squealed a bit, couldn't finish straight off. The implication of interrupted work, the hint of frustration seeping through the paper, paints a picture. Of a killer thwarted mid-act, his rage momentarily checked, a taunt that feels too real to dismiss as mere mischief, its words echoing the brutality of Stride and Eddowes' fates. Then, on October 16th, George Lusk, the stout-hearted leader of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, opens a package that turns his stomach, a small, unassuming box containing half a human kidney, preserved in wine, its flesh a grim trophy, accompanied by a note that reads, "From hell. I send you half the kidney I took from one woman. T'other piece I fried and ate, it was very knees." The From Hell letter, with its raw, misspelled scrawl and the sickly sweet stench of death, feels like a demon's breath on the neck, a direct challenge that leaves Lusk pale and the city reeling, its horror amplified by the thought of cannibalistic intent. The apron piece from Catherine Eddowes, found near the Goulston Street graffito, becomes a thread in this tangled web, its blood-soaked fabric a silent witness that hints at a killer with a surgeon's skill, a mind that dissects as methodically as it destroys. The letters, with their taunts and trophies, suggest a game, a predator reveling in the chaos, leaving clues that might be the work of genius or the ravings of madness. The Dear Boss letter's promise of more killings hangs over Whitechapel like a storm cloud, its words a shadow that darkens every alley, while the From Hell kidney raises the stakes to a new level of depravity, its cannibalistic claim a horror that seeps into the dreams of the innocent and the guilty alike. The public, already on edge, begins to see the fog as more than a weather pattern. It's a cloak, a shield for a monster who writes with the same viciousness he kills. His letters a bridge between the murders and the minds they haunt. Detectives pore over the handwriting, the paper, the kidney's preservation, their fingers trembling as the eye search for a signature that isn't there, their frustration mounting as the fog swallows their efforts, leaving them to wonder if they're chasing a ghost or a genius. Was this a single mind, delighting in the terror he sows, or a chorus of copycats fueled by the Ripper's growing legend? The letters are a key, but the lock they fit remains hidden, their secrets buried in the mist, daring the world to uncover the truth behind the blade, a truth that lingers just beyond the reach of the light. Pause here. What do you think these letters reveal about the Ripper's mind? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's unravel the mystery together. The weight of these letters presses down on Whitechapel, each word a dagger that pierces the fragile calm, each claim a puzzle piece that refuses to fit. The Dear Boss letter, with its bold defiance, suggests a man unafraid, perhaps even exhilarated by the hunt, while the Saucy Jackie postcard's flippancy hints at a killer who revels in the game, his interruptions a frustration he cannot hide. The From Hell note, with its visceral offering, pushes the boundaries of horror, its misspelled pride a mask for a mind that might savor the act as much as the aftermath. The police, their lanterns casting frantic beams over desks cluttered with paper, struggle to separate truth from taunt, their theories splintering as they debate the kidney's origin. Could it be Edo's as a trophy from her mutilated body, or a fabrication to deepen the fear? The fog, ever present, seems to mock their efforts, its tendrils curling around the evidence, hiding the killer's intent just out of reach, leaving the city to grapple with a question that burns brighter with each letter. What drives this unseen fury, and what secrets lie buried in the shadows he casts? The fog of Whitechapel, now saturated with the echoes of 5 brutal murders and the chilling taunts of the Ripper's letters, casts a pall over the city, a veil that seems to shield the killer as his rage continues to simmer beneath the surface. The streets, it's merely a backdrop to survival, have transformed into a battleground where fear reigns supreme. And into this chaos steps Inspector Frederick Aberline, a seasoned detective with a weary resolve, leading the Metropolitan Police in a desperate hunt for the phantom who wields the blade. The air is thick with the sound of police whistles piercing the mist, the murmur of crowds gathering in dread, and the faint clatter of hooves as constables patrol the alleys, their lanterns casting frantic beams that reveal nothing but shadows. Suspects begin to emerge like ghosts from the fog. Montague John Druitt, a barrister whose life ended in a river's embrace in 1888. His despair a question mark that lingers. Aaron Kosminski, a Polish immigrant with a fractured mind, his name whispered in the shadows of later years. Michael Ostrog, a Russian trickster with a past as dark as the night itself, each a potential face for the killer, yet none fitting the mold with certainty. The police, armed with little more than determination and the rudimentary tools of 1888, lack the forensic science to catch this shadow. No fingerprints to lift, no DNA to trace, only the hazy recollections of eyewitnesses blurred by fear and fog. A man seen with Catherine Eddowes before her death, stocky with a fair moustache and a top hat, vanishes into the mist like a wraith, his description a fleeting hope that dissolves under scrutiny. The graffito from Goulston Street, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing," scrubbed away to prevent riots, leaves no trace but a memory, its cryptic message a taunt that haunts the investigation. The public, gripped by a terror that seeps into their very bones, transforms the streets into a theater of panic. Women huddle indoors, their windows barred against the night, while men clutch knives and makeshift weapons, their eyes darting at every sound. Vigilante groups form, their footsteps echoing through the fog as they patrol in vain. Their anger a mirror to the Ripper's rage, yet powerless to stop him. The police, stretched thin and overwhelmed, interview witnesses whose stories clash and fade. Their frustration mounting as the killer's silence after Mary Jane Kelly's savage end on November 9th leaves a void that breeds speculation. Did he die? His body lost to the Thames? Did he flee, slipping across borders under a new name? Or did he simply melt into the fog, his work complete, his rage sated for a time? The lack of answers fuels the hunt, but the fog mocks their efforts, its tendrils curling around every clue, hiding the truth just beyond the reach of their lanterns. Aberline, his face etched with the strain of sleepless nights, pores over reports and letters, searching for a pattern in the chaos. But the Ripper remains a phantom, his presence felt more in the fear he leaves behind than in any tangible evidence. Pause here. Who do you think this elusive killer might be? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's hunt together through the shadows. The weight of this fruitless chase presses down on Whitechapel, the fog a constant companion that seems to conspire with the killer, its opacity a shield that defies the law. The public's panic spills into the press, headlines screaming of "The Whitechapel Fiend" and "Another Ripper Outrage," each article stoking the flames of terror and hope alike. Families lock their doors, children are kept from the streets, and the district's heartbeat slows to a fearful whisper, every shadow a potential threat. The police, their numbers bolstered, but their methods limited, set up patrols and offer rewards, yet the killer's trail grows cold. His absence after Kelly's murder, a silence that roars louder than any clue. Witnesses speak of a man with a foreign accent, another of a gentleman in a cloak, their tales weaving a tapestry of confusion that the fog eagerly obscures. The letters, "Dear Boss," "Saucy Jackie," "From Hell," linger in the investigators' minds, their taunts a reminder of a mind at play, but without a face or a fingerprint, the hunt stalls, leaving Aberline to wonder if they're chasing a myth made flesh. The fog, ever present, seems to laugh at their struggle, its depths hiding the Ripper's intent, leaving the city to grapple with a question that burns brighter with each passing day. What drives this unseen fury, and where does it lurk in the shadows he casts? The fog of Whitechapel, now a labyrinth of unanswered questions after the futile hunt for the Ripper, thickens with the weight of speculation, its tendrils curling around the 5 brutal murders and the chilling letters that taunt from the shadows. The streets, once alive with the clatter of police boots and the murmurs of fear, fall into a tense silence, broken only by the whispers of theories that swirl like ghosts, each one a thread in a tapestry of intrigue that seeks to unmask the phantom who wielded the blade. The police, their lanterns dimmed by frustration, have left the public to fill the void, and fill it they do, with ideas as wild as the fog is deep. Was Jack a royal, perhaps Prince Albert Victor, his crimes buried beneath a scandalous cover-up, orchestrated by a desperate monarchy? The tale entices with its grandeur, painting a picture of a privileged hand stained with blood, hidden by the crown's iron grip. But the evidence frays like old cloth, offering little more than whispers and conjecture to Suppy. What such a lofty claim? Or could he have been a butcher, his knife honed on the carcasses of the market, his rage a spillover from the slaughterhouse into the streets, his familiarity with flesh making the mutilations a natural extension of his trade? The thought lingers, a gritty possibility that fits the precision of the cuts, yet lacks the proof to hold firm. Perhaps a surgeon, his cold precision a product of medical training, his scalpel turned to murder in a twisted rebellion against life itself, the removal of organs a macabre experiment conducted under the fog's cover. The idea gains traction with the kidney taken from Eddowes, but the lack of a clear suspect leaves it hanging in the mist. Then there's the whisper of Jill the Ripper, a woman, maybe a midwife, moving unseen through a man's world, her gender a perfect disguise as she wields her blade with a fury born of some hidden grievance, her steps silent in the night. The notion challenges every assumption, a shadow within a shadow, but the evidence remains as elusive as the killer's face. In 2014, a glimmer of hope emerges with a shawl found at Eddowes' murder scene, its fibers yielding DNA that points to Aaron Kosminski, the Polish immigrant with a fractured mind, his name a flicker in the fog of earlier suspicion. Yet contamination doubts cloud the finding, leaving it a tantalizing maybe, rather than a definitive truth. More recently, a 2023 book suggests journalist Robert Stevenson, a man hungry for fame, might have penned the letters and orchestrated the murders as a twisted bid for immortality, his pen a weapon as deadly as any knife. But the theory unravels under scrutiny, its threads too thin to bear the weight. Each hypothesis, from royal conspiracy to journalistic hoax, dances in the fog, offering a glimpse of clarity only to dissolve into uncertainty, leaving the question of the Ripper's identity a locked chest, its key lost in the mist, daring the world to turn it. Pause here. Which theory sends a shiver down your spine? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's explore the shadows together. The weight of these theories presses on Whitechapel, each one a mirror reflecting the city's desperation to understand the rage that tore through its heart. The royal cover-up theory, with its whispers of palace intrigue, ignites the imagination, suggesting a killer shielded by power, his crimes a secret guarded by silence, but the lack of concrete ties leaves it a fanciful dream. The butcher or surgeon angle, grounded in the physical evidence of the mutilations, offers a more tangible suspect, yet the absence of a matching figure keeps it adrift in speculation. The Jill hypothesis, with its subversive twist, challenges the very notion of the killer, hinting at a motive rooted in gender or revenge, but the lack of a female suspect keeps it a haunting possibility. Kosminski's DNA, a modern clue in an ancient mystery, teases with potential, his mental instability a plausible driver, yet the scientific doubts cast a shadow over its reliability. Stevenson's journalistic gambit, a narrative of ambition turned deadly, adds a layer of cunning, but without proof. It remains a story within a story. The fog, ever present, seems to revel in this confusion, its depths hiding the truth, leaving the public to debate in hushed tones. Was it rage born of madness, a vendetta cloaked in shadow, or a game played for eternity? The Ripper's identity remains a cipher, his rage a force that echoes through the theories, each one a step closer to the abyss, yet never quite touching the bottom. The fog of Whitechapel, now a permanent shroud over the unsolved enigma of the Ripper, lingers long after the last drop of blood has dried, its tendrils stretching far beyond the gaslit alleys of 1888 into a legacy that haunts the world to this day. The five women, Polly Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, whose lives were brutally severed by the Ripper's rage, are more than mere victims. They were daughters, mothers, and survivors of a brutal world. Their stories reduced to echoes in the fog, yet resurrected by those who seek to honor their memory. Books like The Five by Hallie Rubenhold breathe life into their voices, peeling back the layers of their struggles. Polly's descent into gin-soaked despair, Annie's quiet endurance, Elizabeth's fleeting hope, Catherine's gritty resilience, and Mary Jane's vibrant youth, giving them a humanity that transcends their gruesome ends. The silver screen has woven their tale into its fabric, from the silent chills of The Lodger in 1927 to the visceral darkness of From Hell in 2001, each film a thread in the Ripper's mythic tapestry. While online forums like Reddit's r/r's true crime hum with debates, royal conspiracies, occult rituals, endless guesses that fuel the fire of curiosity. This is no fleeting horror. Jack the Ripper has become a mirror for society, reflecting our fascination with chaos, our fear of the unknown, a killer who vanished into legend, leaving over 100 suspects in his wake, yet no closure to soothe the restless. The weight of this legacy presses on the modern mind, each retelling a reminder of the rage that tore through Whitechapel, a rage that echoes in every unsolved whisper. The fog, once a physical barrier, now symbolizes the mystery that endures, its depths hiding not just a killer, but a cultural phenomenon that refuses to fade. The public, across generations, has grappled with the question, why does he endure? Is it the brutality of his acts, the precision of his cuts, or the audacity of his letters that keep his name alive? Perhaps it's the void he left, a blank slate onto which we project our darkest fears and wildest theories, a spectre that thrives on our inability to pin him down. The streets of Whitechapel, now a tourist trail, bear plaques and guided tours, their cobblestones worn by feet seeking the ghost of a murderer, while scholars and amateurs alike pore over old records, chasing a truth that slips through their fingers. The Ripper's shadow stretches into our present, a cautionary tale of violence unchecked, a puzzle that taunts with its incompleteness, and a legacy that ensures his name will never be forgotten, even as the fog continues to guard his secrets. Pause here. What keeps this tale alive for you? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the mystery burning. The impact of Jack the Ripper reverberates beyond the facts, shaping how we see crime, mystery, and the human psyche. His 5 victims, once lost to the fog, are now symbols of resilience and tragedy. Their stories a call to remember the forgotten. The cultural footprint, films, books, podcasts, turns a historical horror into a living narrative, each adaptation adding a layer to the myth, each debate a step deeper into the abyss. The fog, ever present in our imagination, becomes a metaphor for the unresolved, a reminder that some questions may never find answers, yet the search itself fuels the legend. Whitechapel, once a place of despair, now stands as a monument to this enduring enigma, its streets a gallery of the Ripper's rage, its silence a canvas for our speculations. What lingers is not just the fear of his knife, but the wonder of his escape, a mystery that binds us to the past and challenges us to keep seeking, to keep asking, what hides in these fog, and will we ever know? The fog of Whitechapel, a silent witness to the Ripper's reign of terror, begins to lift in our minds as we emerge from the shadows of this harrowing tale, the echoes of Polly Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, lingering like a solemn refrain. We've walked the gaslit streets, felt the weight of their lost lives, unraveled the taunts of his letters, chased the ghosts of suspects, and wrestled with the theories that dance in the mist. Yet the truth remains elusive, a secret still guarded by the fog. The Ripper's rage, exposed in every brutal cut and mocking word, has left a scar on history, a legacy that thrives on our endless quest to understand, to name the nameless. This journey through pretty little deaths has peeled back the layers of a nightmare that refuses to end, a story that chills to the bone, and binds us to the past. If this tale gripped your soul, like it to light our path through the shadows. Subscribe to keep these haunting stories alive for us all, and share with a fellow seeker to spread the mystery. Tell me in the comments, where are you from, what time is it, and what fear lingers after this journey? Confess below. Next, we stalk the silent terror of the Golden State Killer. Stay tuned. The clock pauses, but the shadows never rest. This is Pretty Little Deaths, signing off.